Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is an honor, and I know that every interview starts with, it's an honor to have you, but this is an honor, because Joe Pine is in the Netherlands, and we're here at the D&B Eventmarketing office.
Yep.
Sadly enough, Peter Bas is not here, otherwise we would have like more or less a business threesome, but now it's my honor to interview you. I'm really grateful for the spare time, but you were traveling around Europe, so this just fitted into your program.
Yes, perfect.
And you had some keynotes, some sessions, you were...
Yeah, I did a all-day workshop in Stockholm, and then I moved to France and did 4 half-day sessions in 2 different cities. Then I came to the Netherlands before going to Dublin, where I've got a speech later this week. And I came to the Netherlands just because I love the Netherlands. Someplace to go.
So we're gladful that you're here, and we do want to use your time to let's have an update on all the things you, I always say, predicted 25 years ago.
I always say we didn't predict it.
No.
We told you what was happening, but you didn't yet see. Right? And that's true with the experience economy and now the transformation economy as well.
Thanks for that. Let's start off with looking at the experience economy. 25 years ago, 20 years ago? 20 plus, 20
23 years ago, the book was published, right?
Yeah,
23 years ago, but I discovered it 28 years ago, actually, is when I first discovered the experience economy.
How do you discover the experience economy?
Well, it came from a session I did on my first book, Mass Customization. And mass customization is about efficiently serving customers uniquely. And what I had realized was that customizing a good automatically turns into a service. That if you work with the customer, collaborate with them, design exactly what they want, then you make it and deliver it to them individually, right? That's really the definition of a service, not a good. And in this session, I was doing, one of the guys in the back of the room raised his hand and said, well, you talk about service companies that mass customize. What does it turn a service into? And I shot back that mass customization automatically turns a service into an experience. And I went, whoa, that sounds good, right? Exactly.
Sounds like a book.
Hold on a second, I got to write that down, right? And so I realized that was true, that if you design a service that is so appropriate for a particular person, exactly the service that they need at this moment in time, then you can't help but make them go, wow, and turn it into a memorable event, turn it into an experience. So that meant that experiences were a distinct economic offering, as distinct from services as services were from goods. And that meant that you'd have an economy based off of experiences, the experience economy, versus the service, the industrial economy, and then originally the agrarian economy. So everything flowed out of those words that just popped out of my mouth.
Everything came together. Then we are talking about 25 years ago. What then happened? Because if you discover something that's nice to readjust some thinking and have one vision, the experience economy. But what happened over time? Because we're 25 years later, a new generation came up. Our smartphone is in our hand 24 hours a day. What changed in your vision, or in that what you then discovered?
So nothing changed in terms of how we thought about it, the frameworks we developed. We continue to add on, particularly with the rise of digital technology and so forth. But you see much more clearly now. So one of the things we understood is that experiences were not a new economic offering, just newly identified, right? They've always been around. We've always had sporting events, concerts, plays, and so on and so forth. But now you can sort of separate them out of services, say this is a distinct economic offering. One of the things probably one of our most predictive things, is we did say back in 1999 that in the future you would find retailers and restaurateurs and manufacturers all charging admission for the experience, where today they tended to give it away for free, and that has played out. You can see hundreds of examples in all these different industries where you've got admission feed experiences.
Up to bookstores, as you once mentioned.
Right. Even bookstores like the one in Porto, Portugal, where they charge you over 10 euros just to get in the store because it's so beautiful, right? And it's worth an admission fee. And many restaurants as well. And you see all the manufacturers with their flagship experiences, like the Heineken experience in Amsterdam, the Guinness Storehouse, and I'm going to Dublin, the World of Coca-Cola, and so on. That list will go. So that's a big difference. When I first started out, I used to have to argue with people that this is happening. I have to show data, which is in the book, and show more why that's happening. Today, I just have to say it and people get it, right? Because it's now around us.
Yeah.
Right? Back then, we talked about the nascent experience economy, the forthcoming, the emerging experience economy. Now, with the 2019 re-release, we just say it's here.
Yeah.
Right? We're in an experience economy.
And it's developing. There will be a next chapter. It's a new release. But before going to that part, we're sitting at the D&B event marketing office, and Peter Boss once said, corporate companies do have to understand that your CEO is the chief experience officer instead of the executive officer. That's something that popped up at like thousands of companies already with the CXO, I think they could call them.
Generally, CXO, chief experience officer.
Yeah. Is that like the fulfillment of 25 years experience economy?
In many ways. So what Peter Boss said about the CEO being the chief experience officer, the chief executive officer, is true for die-in-the-wool experience stagers. Like you wouldn't expect a Walt Disney Company to have a chief experience officer because the CEO is the chief experience officer. That's exactly right. And in many cases, including event agencies that are focused on experiences, helping their clients create great experiences, the CEO is often that person. But when you're particularly making the shift, so you weren't born in the experience economy, but you're a service economy or a manufacturer, and you see that need to shift into experiences, that's often where you need that position. You need somebody with the experience stamped on their forehead saying, this is what we're about, this is what we're going to do, be a catalyst for the entire organization. I wrote an article on the roles of chief experience officer that talk about 5 different roles of them. And that it really helps be that change maker within the organization. Now, ideally, after 10, 15, 20 years, that position can go away because, again, it's imbued and everybody understands the job of creating experiences.
In every department of the company. You do mention Disney, of course, because then your whole product is like an experience.
Right.
I find it more or less hard to explain to people in like big industrial companies to tell them also your product is about, or your service is about experience. But is that the truth? Do they also have to go with the experience flow, or are there industries and sectors in the world that you say don't even go there?
Well, there's no industry sector that I would say don't go there. I would say not every company needs to shift up and stage experiences, but every company would benefit by doing so. And it's not that you necessarily have to give away or stop doing what you've done before, right? I know even commodity companies that create great experiences, goods companies, services companies. But you can layer that experience on top, right, in a couple of ways. One is to make every interaction you have with with your clients to be an experience. And so I often say the easiest way, particularly for service companies, to shift into the experience company is simply embrace the principle that work is theater. That their workers are on stage and need to act in a way that engages the audience. So you can turn, through theater, through acting, you can turn any mundane interaction into an engaging encounter. But then the other big thing, particularly for commodity manufacturers, but also service companies, even experience stages themselves, is to recognize that a basic principle of the experience economy is that the experience is the marketing. Right? So that's why D&B and so many marketing agencies have shifted into let's help you create a great advertising campaign to let's help you stage experiences.
Yeah, and also instead of just one moment or one event, they see it as a campaign because it's so integrated in all these different departments.
Right, and whether they're a series of whether it's one pop-up event, whether it's a series of temporary events, whether it's a permanent place, like again the Heineken experience is an example of that. The key is that you want to get your customers to experience your offering before they buy it, and then the chances they will buy it go up. So that's why you want to stage marketing experiences that do the job of marketing by generating demand for your offerings.
Maybe a bold one, but I think in line with what you are saying now, our industry is called, in Dutch we say the EventBranche, the event industry. But by saying what you just said, it's maybe even scary to focus on an event or that one experience because it has to be integrated.
Right, correct. So it's often the way to start. It was the one experience, sort of dip your toes in the water, but then recognize that how do you bring that back again to every interaction you have with your clients and make all of that an experience. And that's why so many companies, even industrial companies, create experience centers. Right? Let's create a place in our manufacturing plant, in our service offices, wherever it might be, where people can come in and experience who we are, right? Where you can put on your best face, you can stage an experience, you can design all of the interactions. You also are charging at least what I'll say a pseudo admission fee, because you're getting your clients to come to you. Right? That means they're pre-qualified, number one, right? There's interest there, because normally they say, no, you come to my offices. Why am I going to waste my time traveling to you? Well, because we're going to give you this great experience. When they recognize that, then you've already got a little bit of that relationship that's forming.